Okay, good morning. Or good afternoon. We're gonna go on talk about cognitive dissonance. It needs to be brought up, and it needs to be explained, and it needs to be exposed. Now, what is it? Cognitive dissonance is something. It was a theory that was written, a book that was written by Leon Festinger, an American social psychologist in 1957. And what he was trying, I'm going to, in short, I'm going to explain what it really is. It's just a crossroads of information that one will get. They'll be at a crossroads. They'll get information that goes against what they really know is the truth, or what they believe. And sometimes they will be persuaded to go against their own belief or what they know as the truth, to go with the masses, or to go with what an authority figure is saying, or a clergy, or the news, or a celebrity, or whoever it is, because of that pressure. And so they'll go against what they believe is true or what they know is true, just to go along with the narrative that's being pushed. And it's a pressure. It's similar to peer pressure, which I'm going to give you examples in regards to that. Now, one example that we all know is when the fake news was pushing the C-19 jacks and how safe it was, and if you don't take it, you're irresponsible, yada, yada. And yet, we know today that was a lie. It was an unresearched, very dangerous, ineffective. This doesn't come from me. This came from multiple doctors who stood up and said, no, this is not good. It's not working. Even though the CDC kept pushing it and pushing it. Mind you, the CDC is not a government agency. It's private. And what do you think it creates? So of course they're going to push it because it's for profit. They make no profit unless they push this. Same with Big Pharma. But fake news was pushing this and pushing it and making people feel guilted. Celebrities were making people feel guilted, and yet we had what? Athletes, children, military, pilots, news anchors, all kinds of people just dropping like flies in front of us. People have died. People have ended up with conditions they've never had. Young, healthy people. But some have went along with it because they were so pressured by the news, by their doctors. Certain doctors would just push this. And you know why doctors push stuff like that from Big Pharma? Because they get a kickback. I've been in the inside. I've seen it. Okay? They get paid. The hospitals got paid when they got pushed for stuff like this. So, but the masses in the beginning went along because it was being pushed by people who had a position of power, a position of influence. And they abused that position to push this false narrative, and people fell for it. The people who questioned it, they were called conspiracy theorists, who ended up being right all along. But I digress. Moving on to peer pressure. So there was a group study that was done where the study showed, it was just a piece of paper with 2 lines on it. And one line was obviously shorter than the other one. Purposely, the group study was 75% of the group were actors. And these actors were meant to push the narrative that both lines were the same length. 75%. So when 75% had said, oh no, I don't see the short, there's nothing short, they're both the same, the other 25%, even though they could see, they had eyes, they could see one line was shorter than the other, they went along with it anyway. Because of peer pressure, cognitive dissonance, you just don't want to question or stand for what you know is obviously the truth. Now, what does the word say about these kinds of people? Or even being like that. Now in James 1:8, it does refer to this, but in 7, the reason why he's mentioning this in 8 is that he's talking about people who just sway with the wind. They could be persuaded in each way with the wind. They can never stand on anything. And so in James 1:8, he says, if you are like that, You are unable to make up your mind and undecided in all you do. You must not think that you will receive anything from the Lord. Well, why should you? You don't stand for anything. If a false prophet or a false teacher goes up on the altar, you just base the fact that he or she calls himself pastor or evangelist. You don't test the spirit. And even when you see that there's something wrong with their lifestyle or the word that they're preaching, or they're a little off, something's not right, the cognitive dissonance in most people will go, no, I'm not going to question it because everybody else is enjoying them. Everybody else supports them, and so does the church. So I'm not going to stand up. It's inconvenient for people to do that. It's kind of lazy too. Now in 2 Peter 2, please read the whole chapter. This comes out of the Good News translation for a reason, because I want it to be clear English for most people. And it's good reason on why. So I did bullet points of 2 Peter chapter 2, and you'll see why. It talks about fake prophets and fake teachers, and that many will follow them. Even though these fake false teachers and prophets live in an immoral way, blindly the masses will follow. And so in the chapter, the point that's being made is how God had dealt with people like this. Okay? Why is this in the New Testament? By the way, 2 Peter's in the New Testament. Because this information is just as relevant today as it was back then in the Old Testament. That's why. He brings up, number one, that God did not spare the angels who sinned. He threw them in hell. Threw them in hell. This is something he already did. He's not waiting till the end of time to do it. It's done. Number two, God did not spare the ancient world, flooded all the godless people, only saving Noah and his family. Already done. Not going to happen. Number three, God condemned Sodom and Gomorrah, destroying them with fire, but he rescued Lot. Once again, already done. God is the same yesterday, today, and forever. It goes on to say, but these false teachers act like wild animals, born to be captured and killed. They attack with insults anything they do not understand. Does that sound familiar? It goes on to say they will be destroyed like wild animals, and they will be paid the suffering for the suffering they've caused. I find it funny how the Lord wanted me to read that out loud in this situation, because if you're complicit, if you've been told about false teachers and false prophets, if you've been told it is your responsibility to test the spirit, and test your own to make sure that your discernment is up and running and strong, and still yet you don't do it, and still yet you stand behind a man who obviously is not of God, you could be one of those people who gets judged by the Lord in this hour, because that's the season that we're in. Not 20 years from now. I know most people would like to believe that. Not at the end. Not when God or Jesus comes back. No. Today. This hour. This is the... You don't believe me? Go to Not By Sight News. Don't tell me you don't have YouTube, that you like TikTok. Everybody has YouTube. It's a default in every phone, Apple or Android. Go into YouTube. Put in the address bar, Not By Sight News. You don't even have to watch the videos. Look at how many pastors have been charged, convicted, indicted. And it's still happening today. Going down the line. Boom, boom, boom. It's been going on for a while. This is not a new channel. Pay attention. Because it's happening, and it's going to keep happening until God's cleaned house and cleaned out the wicked. And in everything that's going to happen, you have to have your eyes open. Now, what triggered this morning? I'll tell you what triggered it, or today. Somebody came into the TikTok chat, and she said she was from the Eastern Star Freemason, from Texas. She lives in Texas, and I really don't care because I deleted her. And said, this is a lie. We're all Christians. Once again, cognitive dissonance at its finest. No, you're not. Because it's already been proven that whatever Freemason was from its infancy was hijacked in the late 1700s by a very demonic secret society. This isn't coming from me. This is coming from former Freemasons. Okay? And there's multiple articles and documentaries on it. This is for people who don't want to take out the time to research and look. They walk around either in peer pressure or they're just delusional to believe. What does it say about secret societies? All things that are done in secret will be made known and come abroad. This is what the word says. The word also says in Psalms, what is it, 24? No, 91, or maybe it's 24, that they talk about how there's going to be judgment for the ones who make oaths just to deceive. And it's been found that these Freemasons who have been hijacked, it's all been documented. It's not coming from man. Take oaths to deceive. So don't come into my chat and try to convince me that black is white and up is down, because it's not going to work. Because I don't have cognitive dissonance. I did my homework. I've seen enough. And I've heard it from the mouths of people who were in that very, very sect, that Freemason sect. And they are the ones who made these claims. And when I say they, we're not talking about one person. We're talking about multiple. See, the devil, the devil's not going to walk up to you and go, "Hi, I'm demonic." Witches, warlocks, Freemasons, secret society, whatever, they're not going to come up to you and say that. Because the angel disguises himself, the devil disguises himself as an angel of light. Why is he disguising himself? Because the best way to trick you is to make you believe that he's okay. This person is okay. No, this is not true. Freemasons are Christians. Really? Are you sure about that? Because there's no proof of it. And if you go and look at the history, the true history, not by the mainstream media, because they're all made up of Masons. Why would they tell you the truth? You got to look at people who actually took out the time to do the research and spoke to former Freemasons. That's when you get the truth. So, for some reason, this message is very important to get out today. God lays out the groundwork before he actually does what he plans on doing, preparing his people for what's about to happen. And I believe that every message that has come forward from the beginning all the way up till now that he's given me to give to you is laying down that groundwork. So research and pray, and read your word. 2 Peter chapter 2, please read it. So anyway, I do have a family event this afternoon, and I wanted to get this out to you as soon as possible. And until I see you guys again, God bless.